Hi, my name is Lara and welcome to my channel, Inner Goddess Guidance. I created this channel for divine feminines on the twin flame path and anybody who is doing the work of self-healing to gain self-mastery in their life. So today I would like to welcome my new subscribers and thank Angela from Mystic Moon again for talking about how she sees value in my channel and watches it. And she did a beautiful reading today, all dedicated toward the divine feminine healing process and what messages Spirit had for us today. And I listened to that and I took some notes, and I'm planning on using those videos that she does to really take some ideas for the content of this channel. And I really feel so blessed because I do get the sense that Spirit has brought us together, the two of us, to combine our talents and gifts to assist the collective. So I'm going to do a quick introduction for those of you who are new, and for those of you who have been here and know the sort of deal, then I will put a timestamp so that you can skip this part. So for those of you who are new here, my background is as a teacher. I was a teacher for 26 years, middle and high school students. I then got very sick. I've been on a process of self-healing for 2 years now, and during that time I went through an awakening and recognized that I am a divine feminine on the twin flame path. I am in separation with my divine masculine. I prefer the word beloved, and I have, since I awakened, I sort of really dedicated myself to trying to figure out, how to do the work. And so this channel is not, although I draw goddess oracle cards and I draw healing cards, and Spirit certainly does show up every single time, every single reading. And I was given a mission in a very profound way, and told that in spite of my fears, my job was to create this channel. So the channel is really dedicated to the work. It is a mindful, slow process. This is about daily intention and attention to our own healing journey. I do not focus on when we will achieve union. To me, that is perhaps the benefit of doing the work. But we do the work anyway, because if we have accepted this journey as our truth, then that is what we are called to do. We're called to do the work. What I found when I was awakened to the journey is that I was getting wonderful signs and synchronicities, and I was getting wonderful advice from a lot of very talented tarot readers. And I heard a lot of terms that were new to me that I didn't understand, and I wasn't getting concrete daily practice steps that I could take. And sometimes I felt overwhelmed by that. And as a teacher, one of the things that I became really good at was how to take big concepts and break them down into practical activities and exercises that could assist a student, or could assist my students in claiming ownership, owning their own learning, because learning doesn't happen just because someone says something to you. You could have a brilliant teacher who could give you a brilliant lecture, but unless you can apply the lesson, the skills unless you know how to do that, and you practice, 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 then we don't learn, we don't grow. It's not our learning. And so I really thought long and hard about what this process would look like and what I was doing that was assisting me. And that is the way that I created the channel. The components of this is that daily I am given by Spirit the message that I really need to deliver. Now, the idea comes to me. It may be from a dream, it may be from things that pop up synchronistically, or even spurred by like a reading like Angela's. Or maybe I'll hear too that there's a common theme. I'm also taking ideas from the comments section. So when people say they're struggling with something, then I'm using that as a way to spur my own research. The idea comes, and then I try to do a little background research to find some really good resources for you. I look at this as sort of like homework, independent learning. The more you own your own journey, the more empowered you are. And so I will suggest some resources. And then when I'm giving the talk, my suggestion is you take notes and you think about what stands out for you. I suggest and highly recommend the use of a journal. Journaling is a very powerful way to solidify your learning, to get in touch with your own thoughts, to dive deeply into your own healing, and really have a conversation with your psyche, if you will, or your subconscious, or even your spirit guides. So there's lots of wonderful reasons to use the tool of a journal. I look at it like a travel journal. You keep track of kind of your daily travels, your daily what happens. And then I pull a goddess oracle card of the day. I call in spirit, pull a goddess oracle card that is a divine goddess energy working with us. Usually, I mean, I can't even remember a time when it really didn't apply, but usually it connects right into what I was talking about. And that's always confirmation for me that I was right in picking up on what Spirit was asking me to talk about. Then I do a reading from a book about that goddess energy. Usually in this book that I use, there's questions. I would suggest that you write down in your journal the questions that really stand out for you. Then I pull a healing card. The healing card often as well coordinates. I take both of those cards and merge them together and sort of talk about ways that you can come up with an affirmation for the day. Affirmations are very, very powerful and a really important part of gaining control over our thought realm. And our thoughts are really what drives our car, right? The car being our life, our direction. So I suggest a few options for a good affirmation for the day, and you can create your own affirmation from those as well, or from one or either, or neither. Do a different one. Maybe you have affirmations you already use. And then sometimes I will do another set of cards. Sometimes I use Angela's cards for a message for us. Very occasionally I will do a message about the divine masculine and what they're going through, their healing journey. That is kind of, and then I suggest that at the end of the day, without my prompting, you come back to your journal and spend, 10 minutes or so before you're going to bed and really reflect upon your day and what you noticed. Again, it's about slowing down and becoming really mindful of your process that day. The very last thing I suggest is one statement, expression of gratitude, at least. because there are all kinds of studies that show that gratitude, it can increase your happiness, can increase your vibration. And so gratitude is another component that I've worked in. I haven't figured out a way for us to share those, you know. I'm just expecting that if you're showing up and you want to do the work, that you're doing it. And basically, I guess, in a way, it was what I wish had been available to me, because I really wanted some sort of assistance on the journey. You know, your journey, my journey, all looks different. You're a different person than I am. We have had different woundings in our lives and different experiences. We start this journey at different ages and different experiences. Our divine counterparts, our beloveds, are different people who are presenting us with different challenges. I definitely don't think that there is a right way to do this. I think there are common pitfalls. I think there are common struggles. And I think that when we're doing something and we're talking about, let's say, like confronting your shadow, doing shadow work, or how to manage your energy, or what to do when you just feel like you want to give up, those are common experiences that we can assist each other with. And I really have a bigger vision, and the bigger vision is creating a community where we are assisting each other. And I'm working on that right now. So that is the introduction. If you have questions about that, please make a comment. Also refer back to some of the first videos if you're new, like the video about journaling, the video about vision, the video about clarifying your core values. Those videos at the beginning, the very first ones I did, are really essential to understanding sort of why I put things together the way that I did. So I will timestamp from here on out, and I'm sorry if that was long, but I wanted to make sure that those of you who are joining me for the first time kind of got a sense of what I'm doing here. So I wanted to talk today about mentors, who we look up to and admire, how we can find living goddesses among us, or at least goddesses that actually walked the earth, who can inspire us with their own experiences and lives, whether or not they even knew the idea or term divine feminine. And today I woke up and I saw immediately two signs that led me to decide that I'm going to talk today about an amazing woman who is an exceptional example of claiming our divinity in this lifetime in our own power. And she balanced her masculine and feminine energies within so well, which is why she was so powerful. And that person is Dr. Maya Angelou. Now, Maya Angelou is very famous, or was very famous. She is known for many things: being a poet, being a writer, being a director, being a producer, being a singer, being a civil rights activist. So many things that she accomplished in her life. And she said many things that are inspirational. And so I wanted to talk about that and kind of tell you a few things about her in case you don't know. I have some videos and resources that I'm going to link for you. I've put some things in my playlist. I have a playlist that's called For Reference, or References for the channel. So if you look in there, you're going to find it. One of them, and one of the keys to me today, is that I saw a video just popped up in my feed out of nowhere, because, you know, it's a message. And it was that she was speaking at my old alma mater, that my college that I graduated from, which is a very small college in Washington State called the Evergreen State College. And here somebody had posted her talk, which she gave back in 2007, and it's A Rainbow in the Clouds. And it's a beautiful talk. She is introduced by another very powerful woman who has accomplished many things and is the director of the an affiliate campus to the main campus of Evergreen. And I want to suggest that if you feel called to do so, that you watch that talk. She's such a beautiful presence, and she's so incredibly articulate and deep and yet funny. Yeah, so she's an amazing mentor for us, for all women, but also particularly those of us who are trying to sort of claim our own power and balance our male and female energies. So here's a little bit about her background. When she was 7 years old, well, first of all, when she was 3 and her brother was 5, they were put on a train by mom and dad who were getting divorced and sent, they just had stuff pinned on them, sent to their grandmothers. So here was her older brother, 5, she was 3. They were sent from Southern California to Arkansas to be cared for by grandma. And just for the, sheer kindness of the porters and the people on the train, they did make it safely. We can't even imagine doing that now, right? That'd be child abuse. But back then, it would have been, she was born in 1928. So, and she was an Aries, so strong, powerful woman. 1928, 3, it would have been 1931. So is when she was sent to live with her grandparents. While she was there, when she was 7, she was raped, molested, raped by a family friend, and someone the family knew well. And she ended up in the hospital. She did tell her brother what had happened, and of course the man was arrested and put in jail. He was released shortly thereafter, and he turned up a few days later murdered, and he had been beaten to death. When the police came to her home to tell her grandmother this, Maya overheard, and what she believed is that her words, because she had spoken about what had happened, her words had killed him. So she stopped speaking for 5 years. She had a little tiny notebook she would write in. But during this time that she was not speaking, the only person she would speak to occasionally was her brother. But during this time, she read prolifically, and she fell in love with poetry. And then she had a teacher who basically said to her, you don't really love poetry because you have to speak poetry to love it. It needs to roll out of your own tongue. Needs to come out of your mouth for you to really love it, because you're not letting it live. And that eventually is what led Maya to come out of her period of being mute. She was the first, when she was 14 years old, she lived in San Francisco with her mother again, and she became the first African-American woman cable car driver in San Francisco. She did that at the age of 14. She was 16 years old when she gave birth to her son, Guy. So she was a teenage mother. She did manage to finish school. She then earned some sort of scholarship to a dance school. It's on here somewhere. She had eventually 50 honorary degrees. She had done so much and been so successful. So just a few things. She recorded an album. She joined the Harlem Writers Guild. She acted off Broadway. She wrote and performed plays. She moved to Cairo, Egypt, and was editor of the Arab Observer. She taught at the University of Ghana's School of Music and Drama. She befriended Malcolm X and was going to help him build his new organization for Afro-American unity before he was killed. She worked as a feature editor for the African Review and wrote for the Ghanaian Times. She helped Dr. Martin Luther King in the civil rights movement as Northern Coordinator for the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. She was the first Black woman director and producer for 20th Century Fox. She mastered, not just spoke, but she mastered 6 other languages besides English. That was French, Spanish, Italian, Arabic, and the West African language Fanti. She won a Grammy. She was nominated for an Academy Award and a Tony Award as well. She taught classes in philosophy, ethics, theology, theater, writing, and science. Her screenplay, Georgia, Georgia, was the first original script by a Black woman to be produced. She was nominated for a Pulitzer Prize. She was a great cook. On top of all of that, she was a great cook and published 2 cookbooks. She published 7 autobiographies, 3 books of essays, and several books of poetry. She was very close with Oprah Winfrey and considered her the daughter that she never had. So that's a bit of background about her, and there's so much more to know. But you can see that she was very powerful. And when I admire her so much. And I have even, she died in 2014. I'm so glad she's not around to see what's happening in our world currently. But when she died, I was really struck because she meant a lot to me. She'd always been an inspiration. So I believe personally that we can ask people we admired who've passed to be on our spirit team. I definitely think that she will have ascended. And so I just got real quiet and thought about her, brought her to mind, and I sincerely asked her, let her know how much she meant to me, and asked her if she would please be on my spirit team. And sometimes when I need a little extra, advice from a wise woman, I go to Maya and I ask her, Maya, will you be with me now and give me some advice? Because she was extremely wise. She was, with her dancing and her singing, she was a very sensual woman, very, very much a divine feminine in the Empress way, completely. And if you listen to some of her reading her poetry, you will see that. In some of her readings, you'll definitely get that sense about her. But she could hold her own with men. She was very powerful. And she never stopped achieving things. She never stopped learning. She never stopped taking action. She sort of had this belief that life was to be lived. So are you doing the work to live it? And when I think about the aspects of divine masculine, action, focus, direction, loyalty, she embodied all of that. Intellectualism. These are in the divine masculine traits, right? And divine feminine traits, nurturing and receptivity and flexibility. So all that stuff with dance was her expressing her divine feminine, the creativity, but her being powerfully intellectual and you know, having careers that were, you know, for most people kept out of the norm. Like you can't become a cable car driver. I mean, what possessed her to think that she could do that at the age of 14, right? But she had that aspect in her that she just went for what she wanted. She went out to conquer, and she really did. So I suggest that you look into her a little more if you haven't. And I want to really suggest that you read her very famous autobiography, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. And as you're reading it, it's about her life up until the age of 17. And as you're reading it, really look for ways that she is a good example of resilience, resiliency, and how she overcame what she did, especially and particularly when it comes to her mindset, what drove her to continue, because she could have so easily put herself in a victim mindset. I mean, if anybody would have a right to stay in a victim mindset, it would have been her. I mean, because of her personal experiences being literally victimized, but also she was relatively poor. She was a Black woman during a time of still a lot of racial strife and struggle. Not that we don't have it now, but it was even worse then, right? I mean, there were a lot of things going against her. If anybody was going to feel like life had dealt her a bad hand, man, that woman could have done it, and no one would have blamed her. Everyone would have said, yep, life really dealt you a bad hand. But you know, she did not ever accept that hand she was dealt was defining her future. And how did she overcome it? Man, in fact, she said something really important one time. I heard her say this. I'm going to pull a rubber band out to explain. I was studying resilience before this whole twin flame journey thing came up in my life. And I was listening to talks by her because I knew she would be a really good role model for resilience. And she said something somewhere that I've never been able to find since. It was like just one day in my research I came across it, and for whatever reason I didn't save it, and I haven't been able to find it since. But I'm going to share it with you. What she was talking about was the value of struggle. And this is key in mindset and the way we accept the challenge of an obstacle or of struggle. And what she was saying was that if you don't have anything to struggle against, you'll never launch very far. And the vision she was giving was of a slingshot. So she said, you know, if it's not pulled back very far, it can't launch very far. Whatever you've got in it can't go very far. But if you pull it back a lot, put a lot of tension on it, a lot of struggle, right, that it would just launch you farther. And I thought, wow, that's an amazing way to think about struggle, is that it's giving you the capacity to launch even farther than you ever knew you could if you can learn the lessons in the moment of that struggle. And so it reminded me, and I have a rubber band here, it reminded me of the rubber band being pulled back far. You know, if we're like the rubber band, right, or the more you pull, like if you only pull this far back, it's not going to go very far. But if you really pull back on the rubber band, man, when you let it go, ouch, it hurts. When you let it go, well, supposedly if you don't snap your thumb while you do it, it's going to go much farther. You got what I meant. And I'm totally not redoing this video just because I messed up like that. Hope you laughed, because it's pretty funny. Okay, So I have a few quotes from her, and I'm going to link. There's like, the woman said some amazing things, and I love collecting quotes, and I do use my journal for that, collecting beautiful inspirational quotes. So here are a few that I wanted to share with you, starting with, stand up straight and realize who you are, that you tower over your circumstances. You are a child of God. Stand up straight. She said, I've learned that I still have a lot to learn. She said, we may encounter many defeats, but we must not be defeated. I love that warrior sense in her. Talk about goddess energy. Athena. Nothing can dim the light that shines from within. Faith is the evidence of the unseen. Sometimes we have a hard time accepting this journey as real. We go through that time where we're all, am I crazy? Is it real? These signs and synchronicities that I get, or I hear things. I personally have started to hear voices, messages that I know aren't my voice. They're not for me. And they're always spot on. So, and it's part of the process of creating this channel, right? And I second guess it because it's not of a logical, rational, 3D understanding. It's a much more intuitive, psychic connection, spiritual connection, understanding, and we can't see that. And that's when faith is necessary. So faith is the evidence of the unseen, she said. She says, have enough courage to trust love one more time, and always one more time. Have enough courage. She says, I know for sure that love saves me and that it is here to save us all. If she wasn't aware of the divine feminine journey, she totally was on the twin flame path. She says, in all my work, in the movies I write, the lyrics, the poetry, the prose, the essays, I am saying that we may encounter many defeats. Maybe it's imperative that we encounter the defeats. But we are much stronger than we appear to be, and maybe much better than we allow ourselves to be. Love recognizes no barriers. It jumps hurdles, leaps fences, penetrates walls to arrive at its destination full of hope. If you are always trying to be normal, you will never know how amazing you can be. And finally, a woman in harmony with her spirit is like a river flowing. She goes where she will without pretense and arrives at her destination prepared to be herself and only herself. And my very favorite, if I had to choose one, because I used to have this up at my desk at school, people will forget what you've said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel. So, Maya Angelou, read her book, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, if you have not already done so. Remind yourself of how great people can be and use mentors like Maya Angelou to inspire you. Remember that If she can do it, so can you. You can. You can do anything. So use her to motivate you. She was so amazing and such a gift, really, to the world. Okay, Goddess Oracle card. Oops, you know what? Darn it. Okay, I'm going to pause this because I left my, I left the invocation. You know what? Let me just try to do it from memory. Dear Spirit of love and light, please be with us here in this time and place as we seek guidance on our journey towards self-mastery and healing. We ask for open hearts and open minds to receive the messages that are in our highest and best good, and in the service of love in all forms. With deep gratitude, thank you. Pretty close anyway. Okay, Spirit, please give us one goddess. That was too many. It was too fast, so I'm going to just do it again. Dear God, dear Spirit, please give us one Goddess Oracle card for the day. Energy is working with us today and can guide us. Okay. Artemis. Ooh, nice. Selfhood. Artemis. Selfhood. This comes from the Goddess Oracle by Amy Sophia Marashinsky and Vrana Janto. I highly recommend this book, this set, whatever. It gives really good rituals that go with each goddess energy, which I don't go into because it'd be way too long. Artemis. Come on, Artemis. There she is. Selfhood. I am who I am, and I know who I am. I can take care of myself under all circumstances, and I can let others care for me. I can choose. There is no authority higher than my own. My powers of discernment are finely honed. I am autonomous. I am free from the influence of others' opinions. I am able to separate that which needs separation, so a clear decision can be reached. I think for myself. I set my sights and I aim my bow. My arrows always find their mark. Artemis, another multidimensional goddess reduced by the Greeks to the domain of moon, virgin, huntress, and childbirth, really represented the feminine in all her aspects. She was the huntress who protected animals, and the virgin, whole and complete unto herself, who made love in the woods. When Artemis was a little girl, Zeus, her father, wanted to give her a gift and asked what she wanted. Artemis replied, I want to run forever wild and free with my hounds in the woods and never, ever marry. Artemis has shot her arrow of selfhood into your life to help you focus on yourself. Have you been too much at the service of others without making sure you get what you need for yourself? Has it been too long since you had time to yourself or a space of your own? Do the boundaries of your selfhood seem blurred and indistinct? Do you feel you have no right to a self of your own, but must always be thinking of others, putting their needs first until you don't know who you are or what you want. Now is the time to come into yourself. Now is the time to pay attention to the whispering voices of your own needs. Now is the time to take yourself back and celebrate and strengthen who you are. Artemis says that wholeness is nurtured when you honor, respect, and give time to yourself. She also asks, how can you expect to hit any targets if you don't have a self from which to shoot? So today, you might write down some of those questions in your journal and consider them for yourself. Are your boundaries to selfhood blurred and indistinct? Do you put other people's needs and wants ahead of your own so that you've lost track of who you are? Has it been too long since you had time to yourself or a space of your own? You know, even finding a small space that you can create your own sacred altar. And I use I use my right in front of my dresser, on my top of my dresser, I have a mirror, and I've set that up as my altar, my sacred space. And I only put the things there, the beautiful, gems that I have, and gemstones, and candle and incense burners, and I have a Buddha statue and some other things. Do you have even a small space can become an altar space, a sacred space? And I would recommend that you think about that. Think about, do you have a space that's your own, that's all your own? And time really to yourself too. It's okay to tell your family, especially if you've got children, or a husband or whatever, other people living with you, that you need a half an hour of time that's just yours. Maybe you make that into a sacred time. You use that with your journal. Maybe you take a bath every day with essential oils and Epsom salts, and make that into a time where you're doing meditation, where you're getting in touch with yourself, where you're focused on breath, just listening to beautiful music, whatever it is. Take time. So Artemis, selfhood. Yeah. Okay. So, Spirit, can we have one healing message for the day, please? Just one message from the Carolyn Mace healing cards. It's a daily practice for maintaining spiritual balance. And a healing card for the day, please. Something practical. Well, blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Mercy is a rare word, one hardly spoken. What are merciful actions? Not judging another, speaking with kind words, thinking compassionate thoughts about others. May acts of mercy come your way. So, for me, in connecting these two energies, this is about selfhood, being clear about what makes you whole and healthy and where your boundaries are. And this is about others, being merciful to others. It's also, the truth is we can't really get to a place of being merciful with others if we're not caring for ourselves. If we're not merciful sort of with ourselves first. and making sure that you're claiming time and space, and you're setting that aside as sacred for you because you know that that's healthy, is going to make you more able to tap into the energy of mercy, right? Being merciful. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Not judging another, speaking with kind words, thinking compassionate thoughts about others. So first we hold ourselves accountable. That be the change you wish to see in the world. So a good affirmation for the day that would combine these two. Perhaps I take time to become aware of myself so that I can be merciful today to others. Or I today I speak with kind words. Today I think compassionate thoughts. Today I work at not judging myself or others. Those would all be good. So selfhood and others. So that's it for today because I know it's long. It's already 46 minutes, which I try to target more like 30. So I'm sorry for it going long, but again, I will make sure that that introduction is, that I timestamp after it for those of you who need that. Do look up Maya Angelou if you don't know much about her. If you know about her before, there will be a list of some of her most famous quotes. Maybe you find one that really inspires you today, and just copy it into your journal or a few of them. Maybe you write it out and you give that out as just an act of generosity to people, or post it on Facebook. I always think of Facebook as kind of like a big fountain. I tried to put pennies in the fountain and create positive ripples instead of dumping in it, throwing garbage in that fountain. Because, yeah, you can see a lot of junk on Facebook that can bring people down. So maybe today, as an act of mercy, what you do is you focus on your social media feeds and how you can inspire somebody else through words that you find inspirational. And I'm sure a lot of you already do that. So beautiful, wonderful, divine, feminine goddesses, have a great day. Thank you for joining me. I hope that gave you some food for thought. Grab your journals, do some writing, go inward. You are fabulous. Thank you. Bye.